We are live. Hello world, Phil here, and I am ready to show you guys some creepy and interesting TikTok videos. This is a new series that I'm starting, so please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get started.
Seeing evidence of giants everywhere and just continue to ignore it? Like this guy who just recently saw a giant peeking through and closing a stone door in some cliff rocks up in Oregon, and he's definitely not the first. Have a look at this. Petroglyph cave paintings all around the world, over 15,000 years old. Giants. Ancient Indian mythology had the Vedas beings, which were over 32 feet tall. In the Old Testament, we got the Nephilim, especially in the Book of Enoch. The Quran had the people of Ad, a nation of giants. Ancient Egyptians had their carvings and drawings of extremely large people in chairs and carrying megalithic stones. Mayans and Aztecs across the ocean in Central America had their own depictions of towering humans. And the Sumerians, well, they had the Anunnaki, winged beings 12 to 15 feet tall. And I promise that video's coming. That came down from the sky, bred with humans, and gave birth to giants. And this particular story formula here has been repeated in so many of these ancient civilizations' lore. And then we actually started finding them. Hundreds of skeletons of these supposed mythical giant creatures uncovered all over the world, most notably in North America. Found all over the US and even into Canada and Mexico, carbon dating analyses showed that these remains were much older than...
You know, I really do believe giants must have existed at some point on Earth, because not only are they finding giant stones, but just in any ancient text like the Bible or even Jewish scriptures, they mention these beings called Nephilim, which are supposedly like 20 feet tall.
Even the native indigenous people. And even these Native American tribes who had zero contact with the Egyptians and the Sumerians had their own legends of a time when enormous humans roamed the earth. Like the Choctaw tribe in present-day Mississippi had stories of the Nahulo, a race of giants that ate humans. Another common characteristic among these stories. And there's the Native American myth from the Paiute tribe of red-haired giants called the Siteka that also ate humans, who according to legend were burned alive in Lovelock Cave, Nevada after a long battle. The cave was even excavated, and findings were published in 1929 that reported enormous handprints on the wall, Paleolithic artifacts, human bones with the marrow removed, which could be an indicator of cannibalism, a size 29 sandal, which would belong to someone at least 8 feet tall, massive clothing, and finally mummified remains of a female skeleton 7 feet tall and a male 9 feet tall were also found, both with red hair. Checkaroo, that sounds like giants to me. What's crazy is that's literally only the tip, so let me show you the whole shaft. 1833, a sarcophagus unearthed in Lompoc Rancho, California, 12 feet long with an intact skeleton inside. 1870, an article in the Oil City Times reported an 18-foot skeleton discovered in West Hickory, Pennsylvania. 1872, a New York Times report of giant skeletons with 2 rows of teeth found near Serpent Mound, Ohio. 1913, skulls of giant human skeletons that would have been 10 feet tall found in Ozark Caves, Arkansas. Esteemed professors like this guy, Thomas Wilson, who worked for the Smithsonian, even stated, the authenticity of these finds were beyond any doubt. But of course, do some Google debunking yourself and it'll tell you every one of these reports was a hoax. Yeah, because there were over 1,000 accounts of these giant remains found all over North America, and every single one of them was just a prank, right? I mean, they were actually finding skeletons in the ground.
No, there was this many. Like, this is a lot. Like, there's a lot more than I was expecting there to be. Do you think he's telling the truth? Does anybody, leave it in the comments. Have you seen any articles of old that have, openly public declarations about giants?
And had tangible proof, so let's just take a look at the bones and we can lay this one to rest. The newspaper articles, journals, town histories and such that outline these finds cite a common recipient of these remains, the Smithsonian, the world-leading museum education and research institution created by the good old US government. Groundbreaking discoveries about human history? Of course we can trust the government to tell us the truth, but actually, for the longest time, no one ever suspected any sketchy business from federal agencies until some sketchy business started happening. In 1892, more wooden coffins measuring up to 12 feet long were discovered in Crumps Cave, Alabama, and were sent to the Smithsonian as with everything else. More than 50 years went by and they never said anything about them. So in 1950, a researcher pulls out the good old Freedom of Information card and basically asks them, hey yo, where they at? Smithsonian hits him back with, our records show that we got them, but we can't seem to find it. Kinda like NASA overwriting the tapes of the original moon landing, huh? Then again, in 1992, another researcher asks, and finally, after 100 years since the original find, he's told that the coffins weren't coffins, but food troughs for feeding cattle from a time period in which animal domestication wasn't even practiced in North America. And when he asked if he could see it, they told him it was in a warehouse that was contaminated with asbestos for 10 years. Yeah, this is the real documented story, which they probably could have gotten away with if it wasn't for the good old internet. Hey, he tried as best as he can, right? So basically, the Smithsonian has all the bones, which are technically native cultural artifacts. But hey, I got some good news that could finally show us the actual truth once and for all. Back in 1990, the US passed a law stating that federal agencies must return all native cultural artifacts back to their tribes upon request. Well, hot diggity dang, if that sounds too good to be true, it is. If you look into this act on the US government official website, a fine print subsection clause from the law itself explicitly states that the Smithsonian is exempt from this act. Man, it really don't get any more bait than that. This is some evil genius shit. If you don't know what to think of this, let me remind you of a famous quote from Ronald Reagan. The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government, and I'm here to help."
I'm a retired FBI agent, and this is a conspiracy theory that keeps me up.
Hey, do you really think they're going to that full of extent to cover up giants? Let me know.
Up at night. In 2018, a treasure hunter tipped off the FBI to a large cache of buried, stolen Civil War gold in a rural part of Elk County, Pennsylvania. Now, the story goes, this treasure hunter had been looking into this since around 2011, probably further back than that. But his research showed that during the Civil War, a secret society known as the Knights of the Golden Circle, a group that operated in the North to sabotage the Northern efforts, one of them being to steal this gold that was on its way to the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia and then hide it. Why they never went back for it, I don't know. This treasure hunter had been operating or doing his research and looking for this stuff, and he located a site that was on public land in Pennsylvania. And he was operating under the permission of the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. It's somewhere along the way, this treasure hunter and the DCNR had a falling out, and he follows this up and goes to the FBI. He told them, or however he convinced them, they took it seriously enough to hire an outside agency to go in and do some very high-tech survey of the property to see if there's any validity to this. And sure enough, this high-tech equipment revealed that there was a large mass of some kind at this site underground. And then the FBI, also using pretty high-tech equipment, determined that there was the presence of gold. They end up getting a seizure warrant through a federal judge. They get a writ of entry that gives them access to the land. They do a 3-day search for this using an excavator and all kinds of techniques, you know, to try to locate this stuff. Very well documented, I have to say, very thoroughly documented. And they found nothing. No sign of Civil War gold, no sign that anything had been buried there. Now, currently ongoing, there's a lawsuit between this treasure hunter and the FBI. He claims that they did find something and that there's video evidence of this. I don't understand why the site survey shows presence of gold, a large mass under the ground, and then they find absolutely nothing. So stay tuned, and I'm going to fill you in on this one completely because it really, really interests me.
They stole it. They stole the gold. That's really what happened. Somebody discovered some gold from the Civil War era, because at first I was like, where are you going with this? And he surprised someone stole it.
Don't you want me like I want you, baby? Don't you need me like I need you now? See tomorrow, but tonight go crazy. All you gotta do is just meet me at the
Here's a dark prediction. I firmly believe, in my opinion, in my prediction, that phones can now read your thoughts. And I say this out of experience, like the last day or so. I've been thinking a lot of different concepts, and then I'd go onto my TikTok and I'd scroll and I'd instantly find that exact concept, right? I didn't text the idea to anyone. I didn't speak about it in person to anyone. I just simply sat there like holding my phone, just thinking about this concept, and I'll tell you what it is. And it's very specific. And I was thinking about, it'd be really nice is having a movement where everyone spreads a lot of seeds around the world, and we sell each other seeds, and we just grow food everywhere, just like grow it absolutely everywhere, so everyone has food around the world, like for free. And then 5 minutes later, after thinking that thought, I scroll through my newsfeed and I see a video about exactly that, okay? And I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. That's one. And then I started thinking another concept. I started thinking, same day, like an hour later, I started thinking, whatever happened to those people that did the I'll eat one piece of cheese for every follower I have thing? And like, whatever happened to that guy or that channel? Literally 10 minutes later, my phone feeds me that video of the guy that eats one piece of cheese for every follower, and I see what he's up to, and I'm like, okay, hold on. So I've not texted this, I've not talked about this, I've just thought about it. And 2 times in one day. And look, I don't know if they're doing this to everyone. Maybe it's specific people. Maybe they're not doing it. Maybe it's just coincidence. What do you guys think? In my prediction, in my opinion, I feel like it's possible. And look at this, just for a little bit more evidence. They have this technology. Because even back in 2023, mind-reading AI can translate brainwaves into written text. So I'm not saying that this is happening, but I'm saying that the technology definitely exists, being able to read your brainwaves and turn it into speech and know what you're thinking. And if this develops, or has developed, or AI is helping to develop this, it's only a matter of time before your phone can do it. Your phone is a transmitter receiver. It's got Bluetooth, it's got NFC, it's got Wi-Fi. And any of those signal receivers could be manipulated into reading your brainwaves and knowing exactly what you're thinking. And wouldn't that be valuable for governments, for secret agencies, for advertisers? Like, this is literally something that's gonna rattle around in your brain for the next couple months. And I would hope that someone can actually look into this to see how legit this is, and if they are doing it, lawsuits and or disclosure, so we can at least turn this off. Like, it could be actually used for some good, but at least allow us to turn this off and don't use it secretly. What do you guys think? Have I lost my mind, or is this all just a coincidence? Has anything like this happened to you? Let me know.
For the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I've seen that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that. Whoa.
I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God. It's changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
They're almost like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like
That was a thick laser.
That's why I told you.
Something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Think they see? Like, what do you, like, okay, if you were hallucinating on, they didn't specify, it could be a hallucinogen, right? So what do you think in that state of mind you see when you look at a big laser beam like that? They claim they're seeing the Matrix.
Wow. You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I can see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
For centuries, mankind has attempted to explore these psychedelic, altered states, but we've never had a repeatable, testable phenomenon to observe until now.
Wow. I'm obsessed.
It's like you can see through the laser into another dimension.
I mean, like, take yourself to that. Like, I just made a connection that nobody...
In 1983, a shocking accident marked the history of industrial diving. 5 divers were sucked into an oil pipeline after opening a valve due to an immense pressure difference. The force dragged them along with their equipment, to a higher section of the pipe where there was still some oxygen. When they regained consciousness, they faced chaos. 2 colleagues had severe fractures, while the others suffered injuries. Surrounded by darkness and a mix of oil and water, they knew waiting for death was not an option. Despite their pain, they decided to crawl through the pipe in search of an exit. After an hour of extreme effort, Chris, the fittest of the group, reached a completely submerged section. Without diving gear, he made the toughest decision: to dive alone in search of help, promising to return if he survived. On the brink of suffocation, and with luck finding lost oxygen tanks.
Are you going to do that in the dark? In the dark, or are you going to just be like, you know what? I'm going to dive into this pipeline in the dark and swim as far as I can and hope that I get to air.
Chris surfaced in an open area and was rescued. Exhausted, he reported the dire situation of his colleagues and begged for a rescue mission. The company confirmed that the survivors were still alive after hearing responses from within the pipe. However, due to the high costs and potential financial losses, they decided to abandon the operation. 5 days later, the company announced the divers' deaths. Autopsies revealed they survived until the 4th day, but succumbed to a lack of oxygen and despair. What could have been a heroic rescue turned into a tragedy driven by corporate greed. Chris sued the company, but decades later, the case remains unresolved.
They used to meet in secret to discuss their mathematical discoveries. Only members were allowed to attend. They had a secret emblem, the pentagram. Let's see what the topic is for today. It was our old friend Pythagoras who discovered that the pentagram was full of mathemagic. The 2 shorter lines combined exactly equal the 3rd. And this line shows the magic proportions of the famous golden section. The 2nd and 3rd lines exactly equal the 4th. Once again we have the golden section. But this is only the beginning. Hidden within the pentagram is a secret for creating a golden rectangle, which the Greeks admired for its beautiful proportions and magic qualities. The star contains the golden rectangle many times over. It's a most remarkable shape. It can mathematically reproduce itself indefinitely. All these rectangles have exactly the same proportions. This figure also contains a magic spiral that repeats the proportions of the golden section into infinity. To the Greeks, the golden rectangle represented a mathematical law of beauty. We find it in their classical architecture. The Parthenon, perhaps one of the most famous of early Greek buildings, contains many golden rectangles. Proportions are also found in their sculpture. the centuries that followed, the golden rectangle dominated the idea of beauty in architecture throughout the Western world. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is an outstanding example. The Renaissance painters knew this secret well.
You think back in the day Disney was trying to like really educate people on like the secrets of the universe in a way, like not just teaching kids like ABC 1 2 3 hot dog hot diggity dog. Like maybe they were like, let's try with like all this mathematics and equations and geometry. Maybe back in the day, they thought maybe it would catch on.
Think of a pentagram, Donald. Now put another inside, a third, and a fourth. No pencil is sharp enough to draw as fine as you can think, and no paper large enough to hold your imagination. In fact, it is only in the mind that we can conceive infinity. Mathematical thinking has opened the doors to the exciting adventures of science.
I'll be doggone. I've never seen so many doors before.
See what I mean? Nobody is teaching stuff like this. They're not teaching stuff like this right now.
Each discovery leads to many others. An endless chain.
What's the matter with these doors? Hey! These doors won't open. They're locked.
Of course they are locked. These are the doors of the future. And the key is...
mathematics.
Right. Mathematics. The boundless treasures of science are locked behind those doors. In time, they will be opened by the curious and inquiring minds of future generations.
Rare photos you haven't seen before. This is how big the Statue of Liberty's face is compared to a person. This is how big a polar bear's paw is compared to a human hand. This is how big Earth is compared to Saturn. This is what Queen Elizabeth II looked like when she was 18. This is how horses fly on a plane. And this is what a completely empty airplane looks like. This is what the largest flying animal ever recorded looks like compared to a human. This is how big a blue whale heart is compared with a human being. This is a picture of one of the last Tasmanian tigers, an animal that went extinct in 1936. Tourists used to be able to freely climb up the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt to sunbathe and have tea parties. This is how condoms were tested in the 1930s. This is what the end of 13,000 miles of the Great Wall of China looks like. This is Ralph Lincoln, the 11th generation cousin of Abraham Lincoln. This is what the Eiffel Tower looked like as it was being built. This is Ruth Malcolmson, the woman who won the 1924 Miss America pageant. This is Robert Wadlow, the tallest human who ever lived.
Horrifying things said by astronauts.
Yang Liwei. During his mission in 2003, he heard continuous hearing sound. Like knock on a door, he described it as that someone knocking the body of the spaceship. Because there is no sound in space. Neil Armstrong. During the Apollo 11 mission, Neil Armstrong sent a secret message to NASA that he saw the existence of other sentient entities there. He said, "These babies were huge and enormous, sir, I'm telling you. There are other spacecrafts out there. They are on the moon watching us." Story Musgrave. He claims that on 2 space stations he saw an 8-foot-long serpentine. He also said that the snake followed him for a long period of time.
So that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. You have given us entree to the resources we need in our ongoing quest for multidimensional expansion. And in return, the per capita income of each of you here tonight has grown, in this year alone, by an average 39%. And I've just received word that our forces have won a major victory. The underground terrorist network has been destroyed here on the West Coast. We are off crisis alert. The situation is normal again.
How you doing, boys? Truth in plain sight.
Okay, switch out the president in front of the leaders of the free world. No big dealio, just keep it realio.
Relax, Brett, we'll be fine. Unless the robot malfunctions, exposing our agency to the world and toppling the shadow government.
We can do this, Brett. Picture your mental health with a Kodak. Oh God, what does mental health look like?
Please pass as human. Please pass as human. Oh God, here it goes. Good evening, Sultan. How are the wives and kids?
They were a very generous gift. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, that was today's video, everybody. If you like these type of videos, feel free to like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. And leave a comment if there's anything that you would like to see more of.